On December 1st, we had a situation happen. It turned out to be what they thought was a routine call to the Meyer store at 26 Mile Road in Van Dyke. Apparently somebody had stolen a bottle of liquor, and the people inside the store called 911, got a hold of our dispatch center, and alerted our officers that were working the road to the suspect who was actually leaving the area in a pickup truck. The officer with mobile home communities right down the road on 26 by the bypass. As the officer was coming towards the Meyer store, thinking once again just a routine situation where somebody had stolen something from the grocery store, as they were coming down 26 Mile Road, they observed the truck, and they observed it in the roundabout. So when the vehicle was going through the roundabout, the officer attempted to make his way through there to see if in fact it was what would have been the suspect vehicle. As the officer attempted to approach the vehicle, he realized that the suspect took off at a high rate of speed. He was traveling southbound on M53, the bypass, at a very high rate of speed, kind of weaving in and out of traffic. The officer in the situation now realizing it's kind of being elevated from just a larceny from an actual store to a person who's now fleeing from them. That gives law enforcement some suspicion as to why the person might be fleeing. Are they intoxicated? Do they have warrants out for their arrest? Were they involved in possibly other criminal activity? So the officer gave pursuit in this particular circumstance to try to get closer to the vehicle. As he approached the vehicle, he was able to make a determination that he could read the license plate number and actually ran it, gave it back to the dispatchers so that they could make a determination the status of that actual vehicle's license plate. As the officer continued pursuing down into a Shelby Township area on M53 and into the Sterling Heights area, information got back to him that it was in fact a stolen vehicle. As he progressed through this pursuit, there were numerous occasions where the individual went through traffic lights, going over curbs, putting the officer in a very dangerous or precarious situation. One is, when it comes to law enforcement, we have to make an assessment continuously as to the need for apprehension and a risk to society. The risk isn't just to the safety of the individuals, it's also to the safety of property. And again, the officer throughout this whole process has to keep taking into account, is it necessary, is it needed to continue in this pursuit, knowing that there's other factors or elements that come into play where somebody could get hurt. And again, not just the officer, but innocent bystanders. The officer continued in the pursuit. There were many agencies that were involved in this, attempting to block off roads to help innocent bystanders that might be coming or unsuspectingly coming through an intersection, thinking that they have a green light, not knowing that this person was going to be barreling through a red light. This individual, this suspect, did barrel through a number of red lights, causing the officer concern and thinking many times that he was going to discontinue that pursuit. As he continued on, information came back to us that this was a subject that was earlier put out on a broadcast by Shelby Township Police Department earlier in the day that they were looking for, that possibly could be armed, and again, securing weapons as well as body armor. So now we're looking at this as a very elevated type of, I guess, concern, as opposed to just somebody stealing a bottle of liquor from a store. Now we've got a pursuit, an individual who's suspended, we got somebody who's actually stolen a vehicle, and now somebody who was brought to our attention that possibly is securing arms as well as a bulletproof vest as body armor. The pursuit continued on. It went on for about 20 minutes, and eventually the subject did sideswipe a vehicle. No injuries to that innocent third party, but as he sideswiped the vehicle, he rolled the truck over. And immediately the officers that were in and around that area, including the pursuing officer, went over to the vehicle and attempted to extract him from the vehicle. They needed EMS personnel as well as the fire personnel to actually remove the top off of that truck to get him out of there, because he was injured. He did suffer some pretty serious injuries at the time of the crash, but no other bystander, nobody else got hurt. Why? I think it's because the officer himself paid close attention to what was going on, continuously trying to update the dispatch centers and other law enforcement agencies in and around the area as this pursuit continued on. The concern he had about public safety was at utmost in the forefront of his mindset. One of the interesting aspects in this particular pursuit was the actual individual, the subject that started this pursuit, the criminal that was arrested or apprehended. During the actual pursuit, he did make a call on his cell phone, and he dialed 911. In this particular situation, he happened to be in the Sterling Heights area, so as most cell phone calls go through into our dispatch centers, depending on where the tower configuration is, he happened to be in Sterling Heights, and when he called the cell phone, when he called 911, it went into the Sterling Heights dispatch center. And when the dispatcher picked up the phone, not knowing that this call was coming from the actual violator that was trying to get away from police, the violator then made his comments about a crime that was taking place, trying to divert law enforcement, the one that was following him, as well as other officers that may be in and around the area. He tried to divert them by telling them there was another crime happening in a situation where somebody was using a gun, and tried to get that department to send their officers there.
Sterling Heights 911.
Yeah, there's a high-speed chase, and there's an armed robbery in progress. Somebody just got shot. It's at 18, just west of Van Dyke. We need assistance now.
And where is it at?
But the interesting thing is that itself is a crime. Using 911 to report a crime, and the type of crime that we're talking about here was a felony, is in and of itself a 4-year felony charge. So his diversion or attempt at diversion in this particular situation didn't work because it didn't really come into the sheriff's office. It came into Sterling Heights Police Department. Our officer that was in pursuit didn't know about it at the time, but it could have caused a situation where officers that were trying to engage in protecting other citizens in and around the area from actually coming through the path of this motorist, it could have caused some harm to those individuals by getting the officers going to another call or situation. So this person, on top of the other charges that he had, is being charged with using that electronics device in our 911 communication system with a 4-year felony by trying to actually divert the attention of law enforcement from a particular crime scene. But what's important is the public understand that anytime they see a pursuit, they need to constantly pay attention to their own driving habits, always monitoring the streets, the roadways, going through intersections, not talking on a cell phone, not texting, not paying attention to other people inside the vehicle, but looking around and taking on what's going on throughout the actual driving experience, so that if you happen to hear or you happen to see something that's coming your way, you'll be able to stop and get out of the way. We noticed by looking at the actual video that there were many opportunities where people had done just that. They had pulled over to the side, they got out of the way of the police officer, they stopped before going through the intersection. Even some people stopped when it came to actually going through that light, even though they had a green light, because they saw the vehicle, meaning the police pursuit taking place, and they disengaged from actually traveling across that intersection. There were a couple close calls during this particular incident as well, which made the officer rethink once again this pursuit. We're very fortunate, again, in this situation, nobody got hurt except for the person that was the lawless individual that started this whole crime spree, if you will. And again, even that individual, I think, other injuries could have sustained with this person, but apparently he didn't care. He didn't care about the officer, didn't care about the public, and obviously didn't care about himself. But from law enforcement's perspective, we do care about the other innocent third parties out there when we're traveling through these pursuits. We just need you to be supportive of what we're doing and paying attention to your surroundings and do what many of these motorists did in this particular video. That way, everybody is safe and we're able to do what we did here, and that's apprehend a person that committed a crime. So I want to make sure that this video, as you watch it, you pay attention to it, hearing about this particular case, many of you out there understand the importance of driving and paying attention to what it is you're doing when you're out there driving and eliminate any and all distractions in that process. Thank you very much. Again, I'm Sheriff Mark Hackel, Macomb County Sheriff's Department. We appreciate the efforts of the public in supporting us in what we do, and we're here for you.